what your clients see from the outside looking into your business is something called perceived value. They see how you operate, they see how you deliver your products and services, and based on that, they will make their own judgment, if asked, as to whether they think that you're exceptional, 10 out of 10 score, or not very good, 1 out of 10 score. Often, it's quite logical, if you're not very good at what you do, they won't come back for more, or they'll complain, or they'll ask for a refund, or they'll fight. And sometimes there are people out there who, no matter how much you help them and how much you deliver for them and how much extra time you put in, they still aren't happy. That's a completely different problem. And that is to do with your marketing message, because if you are not weeding out or filtering out ideal clients versus non-ideal clients, or we view it in this way, you need an avatar. You need to identify your ideal client as being an Alex or a Chris. Alex is the perfect client who you love to work with, you love to supply your services and your products to. They are brilliant, they love what you do, everything is great, it's a pleasure being in business. And Chris is the complete opposite. They complain, they moan, they always chip you on the price, they always give you a hard time, and in fact you can't stand them, but somehow they're your customer. Well, the simple answer to that is you let them in. You said, hey, come on in, grab yourself a pot of Vaseline and do what you want with me, because I don't care enough about my business and my self-worth that I'll just allow anybody in. And sadly, I've seen that an awful lot, where business owners are pulling their hair out, metaphorically, because their clients are a complete pain in the arse. My answer is, why are they even a client in the first place? Oh, well, ultimately, we needed the money, we needed the work. So they lowered the price, they took on everybody and anybody, and they ended up with shitty clients. So poor clients are often because you let them in the first place. So you need a filtering system. So that really affects your marketing. So this is a massive clue as to the marketing of your ideal client avatar, it's called. And there's work to be done to identify who that ideal client is, not just in terms of their demographics, but their psychographics as to what type of person they are. Sometimes you can put two people in a room, you can like one person and not like the other person, and you can't put your finger on it. It's just the way they talk, the way they are, the way they present themselves, body odor, all the sorts of things that go on. You just go, oh, I don't like that person. Why? Nobody knows. We don't all like everybody. Okay, we don't live in a world where everybody likes everybody. Okay, so therefore, not all clients and customers are equal. Some of them you don't want to let in. So that deals with a major part of why the perceived value of what you deliver by your customers or your clients is actually incorrect, or maybe correct in their view, but is giving you bad data because of the wrong client in the first place. But let's assume that you do have a whole bunch of really good customers and you like working with them and you provide a great service and you believe you deliver a really good service to them. Do they think that you deliver a really good service to them? Ask yourself that question. Do you know? And there is this thing called the Net Promoter Score. I often see it coming out the gents' toilets, 3 buttons on a little panel with an unhappy face, a bit of a meh face and a smiley face, indicating, did the cleaners do well? Is the place clean and tidy? Were you happy with the experience in the gents' toilets? I don't know how many people press them. I also don't know how many people press the wrong buttons. But presumably with the millions of people that press those buttons, some sort of statistical data analysis is produced. But the problem with Net Promoter Scores, the problem with going out and doing a survey of all your customers and saying, hey, score me out of 10 whether you think I'm great or not, some people will never score you 10. Because, yeah, you are great, but they want you to do a little bit better. So they'll always score you a 9. That's what their belief is. Or they won't be bothered. Or the people who really matter don't fill the report in. Or the people who don't want to be your ideal client or who is not your ideal client fill the scoring. So the data can be skewed. And so many people over the years have done this, it's all a bit stale. So how do you know? Well, one way to know is to actually talk to your customers. Talk to them in proper good old-fashioned conversations. Train your staff to talk to your customers, just to ask gentle, light questions as you're going about your day, delivering your services, delivering things. Hey, how are we doing? Are we okay? Are you happy? Are we delivering everything you expected? Those sorts of questions, so that people can have an opportunity to go, yeah, everything's great. Ever been to a restaurant, you're eating a meal and you think, this is a bit bland. Waitress comes over, she's very nice, she's just doing her job, and she's, everything okay? And you go, yeah, everything's okay. And you and your partner say, oh, it's not really that great. You just don't say anything. Terribly British. We just don't say anything. We just put up with it and we leave. But we leave and we probably don't go back. That's the thing. Therefore, one of the ways of looking at your business could be to test the repeat business. Are you having repeat business? Winning a new client with your marketing costs money to effectively buy that customer in. You're going to spend money on adverts, you're going to spend money on producing content, or whatever it is you do to attract customers, trade shows, events, online, offline marketing, and you're going to spend some money to get that customer. If you can get that customer to come back again, there's very little to spend on the marketing except good follow-up and making sure that you did a good job in the first place. Same goes with recommendations. If you do a good job, then in theory, your customers should be happy to recommend you to their friends and family and other people that they know. One thing you could do is build in a marketing campaign specifically designed for referrals, called a referral campaign, where every time you finish a job at a certain level, you reach out to your client and you say, hey, if you think we did a great job, we would love it if you told your friends and family, here, pass this on, etc., etc. Some people will even ask for the referrals just as they take on the job, because the client's most energetic and excited about the prospect of what's being delivered at this stage. But nevertheless, if you can get referrals, if you can get people recommending you on a regular basis, and you have a system for doing that, then yeah, maybe that's indication that your customers really do value what you do. Either way, it's one of the little things that, as a business owner, if you could score regularly yourself 10 out of 10 for what you believe customer satisfaction, what you believe is the value that the customer believes they get from you, and you think that's a high score, then great. But if it's not a high score, or you really don't know, then there's a bit of work to do. If you don't know, well, let's go off and ask some questions. Let's make this a bit of a priority amongst the team, amongst your customers and clients, and ask away and see if you can gather some data to see if you can get to a point where you go, yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody is happy with our service. Versus you do know that they're not very happy. You do know that you've had a few complaints. What would that perhaps give you a clue as? Well, it could be that you might be marketing to the wrong people. The other thing, of course, is you might have some poor systems in place. So, for example, many years ago, I had about 10 or 11 members of staff, and lots of work for them to do in the accounting profession. We bookkeeping, payroll, accounts and the rest of it. And because of the nature of the work, some weeks we were very, very busy. Some months we were very, very busy because of the way, the timing of how clients brought their information in. And other times we were a little bit quieter. And there were particular jobs that we did where one member of staff was really good at doing these jobs. If you gave her about a dozen jobs a day or a dozen jobs a week, she could keep her flat out busy, all the jobs done, all on time, no problem at all. Then she'd have a quiet week and she'd do half the work and make loads of mistakes. She didn't work it out. She said, I don't want to make some mistakes. And it was just the pace that she ran. Obviously had a bit more time for the mind to wander, made a few little mistakes. Obviously we corrected them, but it made the whole job harder. So we had a situation where if we weren't busy enough, the staff would make mistakes. But you could have a situation where you are too busy and your staff are dropping the ball because they can't get to everything. They can't deal with every phone call, every inquiry. And therefore you're turning up on site and maybe supplies aren't arriving or people aren't arriving on time. I had a conversation just an hour before making this where the lady said, I'm going to put that in my diary now because last week I forgot to turn up to my own appointment, because she'd got herself so busy that she'd had a phone call with somebody and said, I'll put that in the diary, put the phone down, and then completely forgot to put it in the diary. Paid the penalty the next week when she was supposed to be somewhere else rather than at her desk. So systems, time management systems, processing systems, standard operating procedures, databases, collecting data, onboarding clients properly, offboarding clients properly when the job is finished. All of these systems go together with your marketing, but have a massive influence on the value that your client perceives, let alone the value that you give in terms of the quality that you believe. And this is why in the Rock Solid Growth book here, we talk about the price being three parts. There's the amount you charge, there's the quality that you believe that you deliver, and the value that you believe the customer thinks of your products and services. So value and quality and price all go hand in hand. We need to be confident that those three areas are high, but if they're not, sales and marketing might be a clue, as well as systems and processes, as well as belief levels. And we're back to this one here, your own self-belief, okay, and the outward projection to the outside world, and possibly even the rules within your business. In other words, you might have some rules that are being broken around your systems. I find a lot of people have really good systems within their organization. Everything runs okay until somebody stops filling in the spreadsheet or stops updating the database or doesn't update that. So human beings forget to do something for whatever reason, and then 3 weeks later, all hell breaks loose because that one critical element wasn't done along the way. And so the perceived value from your customer is obviously impacted from your behaviors towards your customers, and your consistent behavior is controlled by your systems and your marketing and your belief level at how you deliver. Okay, so if you're highly stressed as a business owner and everything's going off in your head, then inevitably you're going to drop the ball. You're going to influence that stress into your team, and now you've got a highly stressed team and you're highly stressed, everything's disorganized. Maybe the customer isn't going to score 10 out of 10 for the value, because they're going to go, what the hell's going on? So the main point of this exercise is to question the true value that you believe the customer thinks about your business. Anyway, I hope that helps. This is part of a little series of videos. It comes with the book Rock Solid Growth. You can grab a copy of the book, you can grab a copy of the scorecard, all the other resources below, or just leave a comment in there and I'll do what I can to answer them in the next video. See you soon.